Hey, I'm Des Money.
And I'm Jesse Money. And you're watching CMS TV.
It is Chris Akin Presents, and I am, of course, Chris Akin, and back once again on the show is one of my favorite singers that is out there today. He just keeps putting out great music, and he's not stopping anytime soon. You know him from Rainbow. You know him now from Michael Schenker Group. You know him from Lords of Black. And you should know him just as Ronnie Romero because he's releasing some great new music, including the newest release, Raised on Heavy Radio. And here to talk all about it is Mr. Ronnie Romero. Ronnie, how are you, man?
Fine. Thank you, Chris. Good to talk to you again.
Yes, absolutely, man. Well, dude, I feel like I'm going to be a broken record on this because a lot of the questions I asked for the rock record, I'm going to ask again for the metal record. It's a great release. And much like the rock record, I think what makes it a great release is your choices of songs. You know, I mean, obviously you can sing. There's no real denying that, but your choices of songs, you just don't go for the standards, which I think is great. You know, it really covers records are hard to push, but when you do kind of deeper tracks or less popular tracks, I think you play to the audience well. So let's start there, man, and talk a little bit about your choices for Raised on Heavy Radio, because you really have picked a lot of great songs.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I need to point that the selection of songs we put on the record are not based on in any commercial issue.
Right,
you know?
right.
That's why, in my opinion, a cover album should be. I know some people say I don't like covers album from artists because it's just a money cash thing or grab cash, whatever it is.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not my case, and you can not see it, but listen it on the records. Because for me makes sense to make a covers album and to make a cover when the song is really related to me in terms of, you know, my musical taste, my musical influences, and even in my personal life level, you know, and this is the case. So when the people say, why you choose this track list and know, you know, the typical songs, is because, you know, as a music fan, I was listening to those songs since I was a kid. So of course, if I say I want to play a Black Sabbath song, and for me as a Black Sabbath fan, for example, Eternal Idol and Tony Martin is a very underrated period of band. So why not to actually pay tribute to that song? You know, which is make all the sense to make a cover, right?
Right.
So it's exactly that, you know. I can tell you, you can ask me every song and I would tell you a special memory of my life related to that song.
Sure. Now, how old, I'm gonna ask this, how old are you?
41.
Because 41. So yeah. A lot of these songs are kind of like when you were like a little kid. You know, I mean, you were probably like 8-10 years old when you were. Is that when you heard these, or did you grow into metal later and then kind of go back and find a lot of these songs?
Both, you know. I mean, my father, rest in peace, he was a huge rock fan. I would say he was more into the classic hard rock, classic American rock bands like Kansas, Boston, that kind of stuff. Foreigner, Journey.
Okay.
But he was bringing a lot of music to me, and I have memories to listen, of listening music with them since I was 5 years old, 7 years old. So obviously I was listening those songs when I was a kid, but also then I was developing my own taste on music, and I was going through going from 10 years after listening with my father or Frank Marino or Stevie Ray Vaughan, going to Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, and all the others. So as I told you before, all the songs are related to me in some ways because I was listening to music with my father, or because then I was playing the song with my first band when I was 14 years old, for example.
Right, sure. Now, we talked a little bit there about the choices in songs, and I do want to dig into some of them. And since you mentioned Deep Purple, let's start with that song because, and I know you're aware of this, everybody covers the same Deep Purple songs all the time.
Yeah.
It's always Smoke on the Water. Pretty much every cover ever done is Smoke on the Water. And you went to definitely kind of an after their big period song. So talk a little bit about the choice on that song.
As I told you, as a music fan, a Deep Purple fan, there is some things that, I mean, if you want to pay tribute to something, must be a real tribute, and that's the why I'm doing those records. As you say, everybody can cover "Smoke on the Water" and "Highway Star,"
Sure.
typical things, and the probably the more brighter period of the Mark II and Deep Purple, and that's pretty cool. But as a Deep Purple fan, I always found the Battle Rage Zone album very underrated.
Sure.
Very underrated. And also, if you think about it, that was the last album they did together before to definitely split forever.
True.
So it's like a for a deep purple fan. It's like it's a very special song. So why not to cover that?
Absolutely. When you make your choices, or when you made your choices for these, was it based on the band itself, or for you as a vocalist, are you an Ian Gillan guy and not necessarily a Deep Purple? I mean, were you tributizing Deep Purple, or were you tributizing Ian Gillan as an example?
Actually, I was not paying attention to the singer.
Okay.
And then you have the perfect sample with Ozzy Osbourne. I really respect his career, and it's one of the fathers of heavy metal. But obviously, for a melodic singer, is not the kind of a favorite singer to follow, right? The most of the people say that it's such a unique voice, and it's really hard to follow, really hard to replicate, also for a melodic singer. But I was thinking on the songs and which memory those songs are bringing to me since I was listening to them. And for example, when the people ask me why you did Turbo Lover, you could do another very heavy metal song from Judas Priest, like Painkiller, And I was like, no, because I have a special memory with that specific song. For example, Turbo Lover is a song we have in the playlist with my wife when we are driving and traveling, to the sea or to the mountain. So we always enjoying listening that song, and that's why I really wanted to cover it.
Sure. And it's interesting you brought that one up. You just released the video like a few hours ago for Turbo Lover, and I did get a chance to watch it real quick before we came on, and I've obviously heard the record. I think that one especially might showcase more of your voice than I think you ever have before, because it does kind of reach the low end and the high end. I'm imagining it was maybe a slightly tougher song to kind of tributize, no, because of the different vocal styles that are within the one song.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, absolutely. But every song, and it's, but also is a very psychological, mental thing, because you're not just covering one song. It's like a Rob Halford on it,
right?
Ozzy Osbourne, and then Ian Gillan, and then it's like there is a fine line in between. You can move not trying to copy, but then not trying to do a cheap version of the songs, that because the songs deserve a real, like a special treatment. So it's really hard, but yeah, probably that one. Besides, and the people tend to think that the more technical you are as a singer, better singer you are, and sometimes the simple things are way harder to replicate
Sure.
for the singer. Like in this case, those songs like Turbo Lover or No More Tears. For a melodic singer, a very trained singer, will be easy to do. They're not difficult lines. There's not too much range in during the song, but are really hard to replicate because of the spirit and the unique vocals on the original songs.
Sure. Now, Ronnie, with the choices that you made here, one that really stood out to me as an American guy, and probably a lot of them, your American fans will not be as familiar with this, is the Master Plan cover. Just because that bit over there, over in Europe, over in the other half of the world, Master Plan, much bigger band than here. So talk a little bit about that song, and not necessarily just that song, but the importance of that band, over on your side of the world.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite bands, especially the first two records, Master Plan and then Aeronautics is for me.
Sure.
And probably there was, it was a perfect moment in time when Roland Grabo was getting out of Halloween.
Right.
And he got this young new singer Joe Lande to make an album together.
Right.
It was like the perfect fit, and those two first albums are just killer. And also, Roland is a good friend of mine. We call him normally the Fifth Lord of Black, because he is the producer of the band since the beginning, since the first record. He was a producer. He was doing the mixing and the mastering on every Lords of Black album. So we are friends. I always told him, I really, I admire you as a musician, because you brought me a lot of happiness during my teenaging when I was listening those records. And so I asked him, directly, it's okay for you if I do this cover, because it's one of my favorite songs from you. And maybe you can play a solo in
Right.
that song. And he's a German guy, so it was like a very serious. He told me, send me the song, the version you did, so I'm gonna listen and then I'm gonna tell you. So I sent the track, and then he calls me back, and he told me very seriously, Ronnie, I'm not gonna play the solo. I'm gonna play all the guitars because I love your version. So,
very good.
it's a special thing to have the guy who wrote the song and played the original solo playing in the song. It's something like it's unique.
Right. No, it definitely is. And it's probably my favorite song on the whole disc, just because it's one that has not been, played a lot by myself personally, the song, where I'm like you, like the Tony Martin era, for me, that's brilliant because one, it fits your voice, but two, I love Tony Martin as well. So it's so good to hear somebody give that guy credit, which is great. But well, I'll tell you, Ronnie, one of the songs that you did on the new one, Raised on Heavy Radio, is Metal Days. Another one, cool, Man of War, definitely not Hail and Kill or one of the mainstream ones. So I thought maybe what we would do is we'll take a break and play a little of the Metal Days video that you put out there. But before we do, tell us a little bit about your choice on that one and how Man of War, is special to you.
If you put heavy on the album, on the name, you need to play Manowar. It's a must. They are the heavy themselves. So it's something that we needed to do. And as you said, I was looking for something like could fit better in my vocal style, and that song is especially like a more groovy into the hard rock, more into the heavy metal. But it's creative. Probably for me that song is I don't know, maybe one of the highlights of Manowar's career in terms of musicality. So I thought, why not to do it?
Sure. Well, it's a great version, and we're going to give everybody a taste of it right now. So check it out, everybody. It is Ronnie Romero. He is doing Metal Days, the Man of War tune, and we will be back in a minute with more with Ronnie Romero right here on Chris Akin Presents. All right. Right back here on Chris Akin Presents. That, of course, was the Man of War cover of Metal Days. And the vocalist on that was the great Ronnie Romero, who is with us today to talk about his great new release, which is out now, Raised on Heavy Radio. And Ronnie, looking at the record as a whole, in addition to your vocals, you have great guests all over this thing, which is fantastic. I mean, Chris Caffrey and Gus G and Roland Graupel, and you have several great guests. How did you end up getting these guests on? Was it just, these guys, you made a phone call, or a little bit of the label helping out, or some of both, or what?
Yeah, they're all friends of mine. So it was really easy to ask them. And the one of the funniest thing that I realized after we recorded the album is like, if you think about it, at least 3 of the guys are actually related to the original song. And I will explain you. Chris, when I talked to Chris and I told him we want to make a solo on my album, and I sent the track list, and he immediately asked me, I want to do The Shining from Black Sabbath. And I say, why? And he told me, because I love that song, and also I heard and I listened the first demo of that song before it was recorded.
Right.
So the guy know the story of how the song was on the songwriting process,
Sure.
So and that's why he recorded all the guitars, because he knows the song so well. He knows everything on the song. So so it was cool to have him. And then when I was thinking about the No More Tears from Ozzy, I was like, Gus is the perfect guy to do it,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if Zakk Wylde's not available, Gus is the guy, right?
Who else? And it was something very cool, because he told me, I'm gonna do the solo, and then he sent me a video of the studio where he was recording, and he showed me he was using this exactly the same gear he used to have on the Ozzy Osbourne tours.
Okay.
So actually, the sound of that solo is essentially Ozzy Osbourne sound, So it's like make the song more special. And obviously, as I told you before, Roland, which is the guy who wrote the song,
Sure.
and is the original guitar player of the band. So the same thing. Who else could play the guitar in this song? So
Sure.
Every guy, they put their talent, and they're good friends of mine, so they were happy to do it, and I really appreciate what they did.
Right on. Now, I got to ask you, since you know Chris Caffrey, why have I not seen a TSO tour with you on it yet? You seem like the perfect fit for that tour.
I guess it's because they have good singers.
Well, they could have one more.
Really, they need one more. Actually, we were talking about it. We met last time when I was touring with Michael Schenker in the U.S.
Right.
And, he was coming to one of the shows, and we were talking about it. That would be great to do it. I will talk with the guys, and but I don't know. I have the feeling that at some point we're gonna end up doing something together with Chris, because we have kind of the same spirit of the same musical taste, and he's a really easy guy to talk to. He's a cool guy, and I think at some point we're gonna end up why not working in something? Why not?
Right on. Excellent. Well, for me, I would love to see that just as a project, but B, I would still love to see. I'd love to see you get up there with TSO and do some of that stuff because you would fit that so perfectly. You know, up.
We need to get one of the singers out.
Well,
Maybe
some of
bring
them
an
have, some of them have been doing it 18, 19, 20 years. Some of them might be ready to move on from it. You never know. Well, Ronnie, you mentioned it. I do want to ask you about it. You just finished recently touring with Michael Schenker.
Yeah.
And I know I read a post from you on whatever a gram, Facebook, whatever it was. I don't know what it was, but I read a post that you said it was like the most fun tour you had that you've been a part of. So talk a little bit about that, man. Those are tough shoes to fill. There's been a lot of singers that have come and not had that response after a Michael Schenker tour. So talk a little bit about your experience with MSG.
Well, I got used to it, to make many singers in the same band. So
Right.
I did with Richie, so it wasn't anything new for me. But yeah, for me it was very special because it was the first time doing a proper tour in the US. I know I have a lot of followers and fans in America, but I never had the chance to go there to make a proper tour. I did one show once with Lords of Black in the Proc Power in Atlanta, and that's it.
Right.
And everybody, all the people was asking to me, where are you coming? When you were coming to America? When you're coming to America? And then it was great. It was my first experience going there, traveling coast to coast, all those beautiful cities and towns in between. The people, the audience, in every show they were awesome, fantastic, and they really enjoyed the shows we did. And I was really surprised that I know that when you know that you have fans, but you never imagine people coming with your, I don't know,
With your
the
work.
first Black record to sign.
Right.
So that means they were following you through the years. And I realized that during the US. I never realized before. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty. I met a lot of people, a lot of friends in music that I never had the chance to meet before. Also,
Sure.
like this. So it was great. It was a great experience.
Excellent. I'm curious about the travel for somebody like yourself, who, you've obviously toured Europe numerous times. And, I've been to Europe, so I've seen shows in Europe. So I know it's big, but it's not as big as here. For you, were you surprised, at some of the 8 or 10 hours that you go in between venues and really you've barely moved on the map, but it's like so vast compared to Europe. Was that surprising to you to see how much distance there is to travel?
I mean, yeah, obviously it's a huge country, and I think it was pretty cool. We didn't have any issue, and all the travelings were okay. We were mostly traveling by night, so it was pretty cool.
Okay.
But I remember just one day, and that this is kind of a thing that annoys to a musician who is touring, because when you have a day off and you are thinking, I'm gonna get to the hotel, I'm gonna make some laundry maybe, or I'm going to the shopping, or I'm gonna take a rest and I'm gonna get a nice dinner, and then you spend all day traveling.
Right.
Like, oh, fuck, what a waste of time. But but besides that, I think it was just one day. We were going through the Utah
Mhm.
road, and it was a very long way, like a 10, 12 hours driving. But besides that, everything was pretty cool. There was nothing like, I didn't get tired also. I mean, you can imagine we were 7 weeks touring
Mhm.
there. And then at the end of the tour, I was like, I don't want to go back home,
Right. Nice. So Ronnie, what is your status now with MSG? Are you the singer of MSG now, or is that a wait and see, or do we know, or?
That's what he said in the paper. No, actually, it's very cool because I know. I mean, Michael told me he's very happy of what we are doing together. Is very comfortable with me, and you want to keep it this way. So Actually, we were talking about to make a new record during
Excellent.
the year, and also we have a lot of summer festivals this year, and then we have a UK tour at the end of the year, beginning of fall, and yeah, well, the idea is to keep working together. It's very cool for a new musician, because I mean I'm not young, but
Right.
I'm new on this. Uh, to see a guy who is celebrating 50 years of career and is still doing like he was a teenager, trying to make a name on the business.
Right.
It's
Well,
inspiring.
and not only that, with Shanker, he's probably playing better now than he was, because he's kind of put a lot of
Everybody's saying that. Everybody's saying that. That's true.
yeah. I having seen him through the years. I mean, I've seen him in good years, and I've seen him in kind
Yeah.
of the induced by other
Yeah.
substances years. I'll call it that, and seems
Yeah.
like he's playing better now than he ever did.
I mean, I can tell you two things. One, which is pretty obvious for us when we are touring together, he is having fun.
Mm-hmm.
He's having a lot of fun. And the other thing that really surprised me in the good way, and I was almost shocked. I was like, it didn't miss a note in any show.
Right.
During 31 shows, you never listened to him missing one single note, which
awesome.
is awesome. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, definitely is. Especially a guy that's older, to still play that well. It is amazing. Well, Ronnie, the last time I spoke to you, which was 6-7 months ago, whatever it was, with the Raised on Radio release,
Yeah.
you told me that you thought at that time that you were going to be going forward and doing Ronnie Romero as a solo artist.
Mhm.
Now, just talking to you, it sounds like you got a very busy Michael Schenker group schedule for the rest of the year. So what is next for you? Is there a solo, like original solo record coming, or is that on hold until the Schenker, next year of Schenker stuff ends, or what?
No, that the actually we just, I think it was just today, we delivered the master of the new album to the record label.
Excellent.
We were writing music for a few months, and we were recording. And for me, it's very special because it's the first time that I actually take part 100% in the songwriting of an album. I wrote all the lyrics and all the vocal lines, and also I was part of the production, and I was on the mixing and the mastering. So it's like my baby, my album.
Right.
And I think we did great. And the album is going to be released beginning of fall, maybe September, October, around that.
Okay.
And yeah, the idea is to go on tour with that album, maybe
Excellent.
playing the new songs, original material, and then mixing with some covers. Why not? And trying to have fun. And I think it's the right time for me to stop to be the singer off,
Right.
and try to establish my name, as
Absolutely.
Dio did, for example, after Rainbow and Black Sabbath.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely is. And you have too good of a voice to limit it to anybody's band other than your own, honestly. But
Yeah, yeah.
well, Ronnie, obviously great things, coming, including the new release, which is out now that everybody should check out. If you're a metal fan, you got to listen to it. It's Raised on Heavy Radio. It's Ronnie Romero. And Ronnie, where should we tell people to go to keep up with you and tour dates and all that online?
My social, Ronnie Romero official site on Facebook, Rockney on Instagram, Ronnie Romero official also. And
Okay.
you will see all the plans that I have for this year,
Very
which
good.
are not a few.
Exactly. Well, Ronnie, I figured we would wrap this one up with The Shining because it's a cool video, and my God, if anybody other than Tony Martin was born to sing this song, it's you. You fit so well on this song. So we will wrap up with.
Actually, I will tell you. Sorry, I will tell you.
Okay.
We got the greetings from Tony Iommi on Twitter about that song.
Yes.
So it was like, okay, now I can die happy.
All right. I got to ask real quick. With that, do you, in a million years, do you ever expect to have Tony Iommi reach out to you and say, hey, I like what you did with my song. I mean, that's amazing.
Never in my wildest dreams. It's like now the circle is complete. I played with Richie Blackmore, Michael Schenker, and Tony Iommi knew who I am. So now I feel happy.
Very good, man. Well, let's play it right now. Give everybody a taste. And one more time, the album is Raised on Heavy Radio. It is Ronnie Romero. And check it out. It is The Shining. And this has been Chris Akin Presents. Thanks, Ronnie.
Thank you. Bye.